commend all of you, KidSafe of course in particular, for this vital event and for the publicity and consciousness raising that is so important in this area. Coroners are acutely aware of this, of course, of the tragedy that accompanies the death of a child through drowning, and we've spent many hours ourselves as coroners working on these cases, looking at these cases, and in the past and still making recommendations about such cases, and I'll return to that a little later. KidSafe as a name was formally adopted nationally in 1993, and since the establishment of KidSafe, the number of child deaths and hospitalisations has more than halved. Injuries are the leading cause of death in Australian children aged 1 to 14, and they account for nearly half of all of the deaths in this age group. The WHO, the World Health Organisation, identified drowning as the leading cause of unintentional death of young children aged 1 to 4 worldwide. In Australia, the most recently reported rate of drowning deaths of young children, that's aged between birth and 4, is 2.6 per 100,000 population. Private swimming pools and spas are the leading location of drowning deaths in this age group in Australia, comprising approximately 50% of the fatalities. In response to this, private swimming pools and spas were a priority focus in the Australian Water Safety Strategy between the years 2008 and 2011. During the 12 months period from July 2012 last year to June this year, 3 Victorian children aged 0 to 4, or from birth to 4, drowned in backyard swimming pools. Obviously that's 3 too many. For every drowning death involving a child between 0 and 4 in Victoria, there are a further 10 non-fatal incidents. That's the average over the past 5 years. Efforts to reduce childhood drowning rates in proximate water hazards has focused on 4 major strategies: barriers around either the hazard or the child, active adult supervision, access to water familiarisation, and early CPR. Swimming pool and spa safety barriers have been shown to significantly reduce the risk of drowning of young children. There is an increasing concern that while legislation had an initial impact on the reduction of drowning deaths, the momentum of this improvement may not be maintained into the future without continued advocacy for behavioural change, which is partly where KidSafe, of course, comes in as key advocates. Legislation depends on compliance, and compliance relating to existing legislation is an under-researched theme, and we continue to research that very theme. The proportion of pools with non-compliant safety barriers and without an ongoing inspection program has been reported to be about 55%, although the figure may be as high as 80%. Other studies have reported that with an ongoing inspection program, up to 97% of swimming pool safety barriers were found to be compliant. So inspection is a key driver of compliance. While adequate caregiver supervision has been identified as an important drowning prevention strategy, it can and does fail. Thus, the benefit of a safety barrier is vital, and it provides a vital seconds or even minutes for adequate supervision to be restored. Coroners investigate all drownings of young children and now have an increasing focus on prevention. And long before the statutory mandate for prevention was enshrined in the Coroners Act, which it was in 2008, long before this was in place, coroners made many recommendations over the years about improvements to pool fencing and pool fencing regulations. Those recommendations have contributed to improvements in safety in this vitally important area. I'm sure I speak for all coroners when I express my strong support for KidSafe and this vital mission, which is a safety mission. And the mission is, as many of you know, but I'm going to read it out, to make a safer world for kids by leading the promotion of action to highlight and to minimise the unacceptable level of risk and consequences of injury to children in our adult-focused world. That's the broader mission. And the values which underpin it: concern for children as the basis of the welfare and the growth of Australian society, a belief that prevention, that key word prevention, is better than cure, the relevance of principles of cost effectiveness, added value, quality assurance, the application of best practice and a preference for the use of countermeasures based on good evidence. And the aim of KidSafe, to prevent child deaths from unintentional injury and to reduce the severity of unintentional injuries to children aged less than 15 years through education, research, advocacy and environmental, legislative and behaviour change. And can I simply say that I, and speaking for the coroners and the Coroners Court, strongly endorse that mission, those principles and those values as a vital contribution to the prevention of these tragic deaths.